This holiday, Verizon is helping you bundle up incredible gifts and savings. You'll get the latest phone with a new line on My Plan and a brand new smartwatch and tablet. No trade-in needed, even on our lowest price plan. That's 2 gifts for your family and 1 for you. Or 2 for you and 1 for someone else. Or 3 gifts for you and only you. Either way, you save big on 3 amazing gifts at Verizon. All on the best 5G network. Visit Verizon today. Rankings based on Root Metric Root Score report dated 1/8/2025. Your results may vary. Service plan required for watch and tablet. Additional terms apply.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. You know, one of the perks about having 4 kids that you know about is actually getting a direct line to the big man up north. Mm-hmm. And this year, he wants you to know the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of Mint Mobile's unlimited wireless for $15 a month. Now, you don't even need to wrap it. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
A lot of supplement brands chase trends, but if you're serious about your health, we know research-backed science is what actually moves the needle. Momentous works with the best brains in human science to create every formula, and every batch is made of pure ingredients, tested for safety, and does not contain fillers. So you get the best long-term results possible. Creatine isn't just for muscle gains, it's essential daily fuel for your brain, body, and long-term performance. Momentous CreaPure Creatine is backed by leading performance experts like Dr. Andrew Huberman and Dr. Stacy Sims. Sourced exclusively in Germany, CreaPure sets the gold standard for creatine, delivering the purest form, creatine monohydrate, that's rigorously washed and never cut with fillers. With over 2,000 5-star reviews, over 112,000 customers have seen the results firsthand. With Momentous, the fundamentals are done right. Right now, Momentous is offering our listeners up to 35% off your first subscription order with promo code ACAST. Go to livemomentous.com and use promo code ACAST for up to 35% off your first subscription order. That's livemomentous.com, promo code ACAST.
This holiday, Verizon is helping you bundle up incredible gifts and savings. You'll get the latest phone with a new line on My Plan and a brand new smartwatch and tablet. No trade-in needed, even on our lowest price plan. That's 2 gifts for your family and 1 for you. Or 2 for you and 1 for someone else. Or 3 gifts for you and only you. Either way, you save big on 3 amazing gifts at Verizon. All on the best 5G network. Visit Verizon today. Rankings based on Root Metric Root Score report dated 1/8/2025. Your results may vary. Service plan required for watch and tablet. Additional terms apply.
Hear that? It's holiday cheer arriving at Ulta Beauty with gifts for everyone on your list. Treat them to fan-favorite gift sets from Charlotte Tilbury and Peach and Lily. Go all out with timeless fragrances from YSL, Ariana Grande, and Carolina Herrera. And you can never go wrong with an Ulta Beauty gift card. Head to Ulta Beauty for gifts that make the holidays brighter and even more beautiful. Ulta Beauty. Gifting happens here.
Hello, I'm Sarah and welcome to the Whispering Woods After Dark. I have an amazing story today. I really hope you enjoy it because I thought it was incredible. I thought it was fantastic and great. I'll get straight into it. Are you ready for the story? A brittle wind whispers through the skeletal arches of St. Mary's Old Church at Clophill. In the half-light before dawn, 2 young villagers creep up the hill's narrow path, their breath clouding the air. They had heard strange tales and, hearts pounding, felt compelled to see for themselves. Pushing open the rusty gate, they step into the ruined silent yard. Gravestones tilt like broken teeth in the earth. Inside the roofless nave, the darkness is thick, and the smell of damp stone and something coppery clings to the cold. One boy's torch beam dances over graffiti-scarred walls. Then a sudden gasp. In the centre of the floor lies a ring of scattered bones, arranged in a circle. A human skull is impaled on a shard of wood, grinning vacantly at the intruders. Around it are feathers matted dark with blood. On the crumbling wall behind, a crude red cross is scrawled, dripping down the stones. The boys freeze, stomachs tight with dread. This is no prank. As dawn's first light creeps in, they realise they stand in the aftermath of some unnatural ritual. In the stillness, one boy imagines he hears a distant chant carried on the breeze. The other swears later he saw a hooded figure at the edge of the trees. Whether imagination or something more, the fear sends them scrambling back down to the village to tell of what they found. Behind them, the ruined church remains on its lonely hill, silent, violated, and awake with secrets. By the 1960s, St. Mary's Church had already lived many lives, built around the mid-14th century, perched on a high-rise north of Clophill village. It served generations of parishioners. But by 1848, the little medieval church was abandoned in favour of a new one in the village below, its hilltop location left to the dead. The old church became a mortuary chapel, surrounded by a graveyard still in use. Folklore insisted something was off about it. Villagers whispered the church had been built the wrong way round, its altar curiously facing west instead of east, away from God, dooming the site to shadow rather than light. Some claimed it was erected on top of an older leper hospital run by monks, the hill long tainted by suffering. And in the 19th century, the churchyard had already gained an unenviable reputation as a haunt of body snatchers, where skulls and bones were found strewn in nearby fields. By the mid-1950s, after thieves stripped the lead from its roof, St. Mary's fell truly into ruin, roofless, abandoned, and exposed to the elements. Isolated and long unwatched, the old church on the hill became a magnet for morbid mischief. Still, nothing could have prepared the quiet village of Clophill for what was discovered on that grey March morning in 1963. The two trembling youths who fled the ruin spread the alarm. Soon the local rector, Reverend Leslie Barker, and the police were on site, beholding a scene out of a nightmare. In the nave lay the arranged remains of a human corpse, leg bones, a pelvis, and a breastbone, meticulously positioned in what authorities described as the pattern used for the Black Mass. The skull found impaled on a broken iron spike had been wrenched from its grave and set like a ghastly centrepiece. Around these relics of the dead were strewn the telltale signs of ritual, blackened cockerel feathers scattered about, and crude crosses daubed in red on the walls. 6 old graves, all of them belonging to women, had been disturbed in the night. One stone slab had been pried completely aside, and the coffin beneath smashed open. It was from this grave that the skull and bones had come. The name on the desecrated tomb, Jenny Humberston, a young woman dead and buried since 1770. Reverend Barker and his church warden, horrified, told reporters this was no doubt what they were seeing. This was devil worship, a black mass carried out on sacred ground. Satan worshippers are known to use a female at the centre of their ceremonies, the rector grimly noted, pointing to poor Jenny's exhumed remains. Police investigators agreed something perversely occult had occurred. The dead cockerel appeared sacrificial, they said, its blood likely used to paint the red occult symbols. Shock swept through Clophill and beyond. Headlines about a black magic ritual on an English hilltop ran in papers nationwide. The notion of necromancy in a quiet Bedfordshire village churchyard captured the public's morbid fascination. In the following days, the church was cleansed as best as possible. The violated bones of Jenny Humberston were gathered and reinterred in consecrated ground. But whatever dark forces had been awakened on the hill, they were not so easily put to rest. The horror of March 1963 was only the beginning. Within a fortnight, intruders struck again. Despite efforts to seal Jenny's grave, it was found prized open a second time, as if the perpetrators, or something else, could not leave the poor 18th century woman's remains in peace. Authorities resealed her vault firmly, even as villagers muttered about evil at work. Yet on the night of the next full moon, under the silvery lunar light, Jenny's grave was opened yet again, the soil cast aside in defiance. It seemed the lure of St. Mary's ruin was now irresistible. The local library reported a sudden run on books about witchcraft and magic. And not far away, a gruesome discovery soon hinted that the contagion of dark ritual was spreading. On April the 9th, 1963, the rotting heads of 6 cows and a horse turned up, arranged in nearby Bluebell Wood outside Luton. Investigators immediately linked that scene to the Black Mass at Clophill. Suddenly, whispers of sacrifice were on everyone's lips. Across England that year, other churches reported similar incidents. Desecrated crypts in Lancashire, a red pentagram and a pierced sheep's heart left on an altar in Essex. A creeping satanic panic was taking hold, sparked by the events of Clophill's lonely ruin. In the years that followed, the ruined church at Clophill became infamous as a site of trespass and occultism. The media attention in 1963 had lit a fire that would smoulder for decades. By the mid-1960s, visiting the crumbling chapel under the moonlight became a rite of passage for local teens. They came in packs on weekend nights, hiking up the dirt track with flashlights and nervy laughter, swapping scary stories of what had happened there. It wasn't only curious school kids either. The UK press had painted Clophill as a haven for witches and devil worshippers, and those determined to play at the dark arts or witness them answered the call. Reverend Leslie Barker, who had the misfortune of becoming rector in 1962, just before all hell broke loose, later said that hardly a month passed without new violations at St. Mary's between 1963 and 69. Numerous instances of graves being broken into and some sort of rite performed, he reported wearily, describing a plague of copycat ceremonies by persons unknown. The curse of Clophill seemed unstoppable. Sinister gatherings continued to dot the calendar. There were rumours of secret meetings on solstices and equinoxes, nights when the air upon that hill felt electric. On Midsummer's Eve in 1969, for instance, another dark ceremony was reported, occurring almost 6 years to the day after the first incident. Details were hushed up, but locals remember the police coming around yet again. That same year, in the summer of '69, authorities finally caught a group red-handed. 10 teenagers were discovered one night, carousing amidst the tombs in the ruined church, apparently mimicking occult rites. They were arrested and fined for riotous behaviour. The youths had been wearing white bedsheets and prancing about, treating the dead haunted site as a playground for spooky thrills. It was hard to say whether those caught were true believers in Satan or just foolish kids daring each other to scare themselves. Ghosts or goths, as one might put it. Either way, their antics only reinforced Clophill's dark reputation. Meanwhile, genuine fear gripped many villagers. Tragedy and dread began to surround those closest to the old church. Reverend Barker, in particular, carried a heavy burden. In the years after 1963, the rector's life unravelled in cruel ways. First came a deeply personal blow. His young daughter was struck by a car and killed on a nearby road. Then Barker's own health began to fail, deteriorating under stress. He became convinced that dark forces had laid a curse on him and his family. Every night he peered out the rectory windows, half expecting to see cloaked figures watching from the hedgerows. When he tried to do his Christian duty and rebury Jenny Humberston's remains, sealing them safely once more, something or someone always thwarted him. Twice more the grave was desecrated after he interred her bones. Desperate, Reverend Barker at last took an extraordinary step. He spirited Jenny's skull and bones away altogether, hiding them in a secret place so the ghouls could not find them. Unbeknownst to parishioners, he wrapped the bones carefully and locked them in the trunk of his car, where he thought they'd be safe from further profanation. If Barker hoped this act would end the attacks on the church, he was mistaken. He soon developed the paranoid sense that the witches were watching. In his nightmares, he surely recalled the awful scene in the nave, imagining evil eyes on him. As the 60s waned, the beleaguered reverend could stand no more. On Halloween night 1969, he fled the Clophill rectory entirely, abandoning his post and the haunted hilltop that had brought him so much grief. He moved to a tiny cottage outside a neighbouring town, hoping to escape the curse. For a time, Barker lived quietly. The horrors of Clophill seemed at bay. But near Christmas that year, a chilling sign found him, even in exile. Waking one frosty morning, he discovered on the lonely dirt track by his cottage the remnants of a malign ritual, charred effigies and arranged stones, as if someone had performed a ceremony right at his doorstep. The old dread rushed back. Barker confided to friends staying with him that he believed witches were trying to kill him. And then he finally revealed the reason. All this time, 6 years on, he still possessed Jenny Humberston's bones. They were still locked in the boot of his car. He had never dared return them to the haunted graveyard. If indeed a coven of devil worshippers had targeted Jenny's remains, you can imagine they pursued Barker, the guardian of those bones, in order to reclaim their prize. The rector's tale ends quietly. He survived, eventually passing Jenny's remains to safer keeping. But he was a broken man, certain to the end that Clophill's dark happenings had marked him forever. Not only the rector felt the intensity of those years, Clophill's villagers grew protective and wary. They began to see the ruined church less as a holy place and more as a beacon for evil. Folklore and fact intermingled in the village. The idea that the church was orientated away from God, for instance, took on a new life. An explanation for why such blasphemies could occur there. Some in town hung garlic and crucifixes in their windows on particularly fearsome nights, hoping to ward off whatever stalked the hill. And on one infamous October night in 1975, villagers recall that even the police kept their distance from St. Mary's. Officers barricaded the lane up from the village, apparently aware that an occult gathering was to take place. But they would not approach the church itself. The next morning, when brave souls finally ascended to check, they found gravestones toppled and bones scattered. Inside the roofless church, fresh graffiti in Latin was scrawled on the walls. The words Nevid, meaning no future, were left by the intruders. Clophill's legend of darkness only deepened. It seemed even lawmen dared not challenge whatever unholy business transpired at the old ruin. By the early 1970s, St. Mary's Old Church had firmly earned its title as Bedfordshire's scariest satanic haunt. Its wilderness of desecrated and looted tombs, as one folklorist described it, represented the revival of black magic in the 20th century. In response, local authorities eventually took measures to tame the chaos. The church's remains were placed under council ownership in 1977 and later partially restored in the 2010s. The graveyard itself was altered. Many old headstones were removed and set around the perimeter in the 1970s. The earth re-levelled in hopes of literally burying the past. But no amount of landscaping could erase the stories attached to that place. Under the surface, quite literally in the soil, and in local law, St. Mary's carried on as a place of dread. It's one thing to read about dark rituals after the fact. It's another to stand in the moonlight and see figures moving among the tombstones. Throughout the late 60s and 70s, eyewitness reports began to circulate of strange gatherings and apparitions at Clophill. More than a few evenings, villagers or passers-by would spot a flicker of firelight on the hill. On clear nights, distant observers saw what looked like a line of lanterns or torches snaking up the old footpath to St. Mary's. Silhouettes of hooded figures were glimpsed climbing the slope in procession, disappearing into the ruins' lightless outline. Those who ventured close reported hearing a faint chanting, low voices that echoed in unknown tongues or wordless humming rituals. At the nearby Chitsands Air Base, American Air Force personnel manning a guard tower even reported seeing mysterious lights dancing around the chapel's remains. Locals were divided on what these shadowy processions really were. Given the era's fears, many assumed they were witnessing real-life witches or Satanists en route to perform new rituals. Despite occasional pranks, many sightings on the hill remain unexplained. One family, living on a nearby farm, reported seeing a row of hooded, candle-bearing figures winding up to the church one autumn night, only to vanish when observed, leaving the witnesses unsure if they had seen mortal trespassers or something unearthly. Others described seeing solitary shadow figures standing among the leaning headstones, watching from afar. These dark silhouettes would sometimes bleed away into the night as if evaporating. Flashlights shone into the church's hollow tower, would reveal nothing but empty stone and the scuttling of disturbed bats. The air itself, countless visitors attested, felt thick and oppressive within the churchyard. In later years, visitors often found remnants of occult symbols in the church, spent black candles, crude pentagrams drawn on the floor, inverted crosses spray-painted on what remained of the walls. In one instance, a visitor in 2020 recalled that there was a pentagram on the floor of the ruined church from earlier years. Even after the satanic panic of the 60s and 70s calmed, Clophill's mysteries only deepened. The narrative shifted gradually from talk of witches and cultists to tales of the unquiet dead and wandering spirits. Like many places touched by violent or profane events, the old church became a locus for ghost stories, and some of those stories are remarkably vivid. One of the earliest and most famous ghostly encounters linked to Clophill occurred in December 1969, only a week or two after Reverend Barker's departure. In the bleak interval between Christmas and New Year's, a local man named Lawrence Steinmetz and his wife Lily were driving their early morning paper delivery route along Great Lane, a country road skirting the hill where St. Mary's stands. The pre-dawn sky was starless and the lane treacherously icy. As they carefully navigated the bends, Lily suddenly pointed ahead. "Look, Larry, is that a light?" There, emerging from a hedgerow path, was indeed a small swaying light bobbing in the darkness. Lawrence squinted, perhaps a cyclist, but it was far too high off the ground to be a bike. Slowing the car, they realised with astonishment what approached. A horse and rider, pacing slowly across their path. The horse was large and dark, its rider hunched over. In one hand, the rider carried an old-fashioned horn lantern, the source of the flickering glow. Both horse and rider were cloaked in a deep blackness of shadow, almost blending with the night. The phantom horse galloped through the vehicle's hood and out the other side, vanishing into the darkness without a sound. Lawrence and Lily sat stunned and trembling, the night suddenly dead quiet around them. "We daren't look back," Lawrence said later. "I just put my foot down and rushed off. It was a horrible experience." For over a year, the Steinmetzes told no one of their encounter. Who would believe it? But in 1971, a neighbour casually asked them if they'd ever seen a cloaked rider on Great Lane. Realising they were not alone, Lawrence came forward and shared his story with the local paper. It turned out others had seen the same phantom. Another family on Great Lane had been so disturbed by repeated sightings of the hooded monk that they moved away from the area. Even a farmer admitted to Lawrence that he sometimes saw a mysterious lantern crossing his fields. Intriguingly, that farmer produced an actual old horn lantern, over 200 years old, from his barn. The consensus grew that the Steinmetzes had witnessed the ghost of a monk from Chicksands Priory, a long-dead soul travelling an ancient route that led past Clophill's cursed church. Equally unsettling was an encounter reported a decade later by an unlikely group, a rising punk rock band. In 1979, the Luton-based band UK Decay decided to shoot photographs for their new record at none other than Clophill's ruined church. The band members arrived one afternoon, chuckling at the black magic church legend. and posed for moody black and white shots amid the arches and ivy. The session went well at first. The ruin provided a perfect backdrop for their edgy aesthetic. As the last picture was taken, an unnatural chill fell over the group. Without warning, a feeling of dread swept through them, like a shadow rushing across a clear sky, a visceral panic with no obvious cause. The hairs on their arms stood up, a primal alarm urging them to run. Without exchanging words, the photographer and band bolted for the car, adrenaline surging. They tore off down the bumpy track from the church. But Clophill had one more scare in store. Rounding a bend, the driver slammed the brakes. An enormous white horse stood in the road ahead. Its coat glimmered oddly in the fading light, almost translucent. For a moment, the band members just gaped, the earlier terror still coursing through their veins. One of them blinked and laughed nervously. "It's just an escaped horse, mate," he muttered. Perhaps a farm horse had wandered onto the lane, yet when they rolled forward to follow it, the creature was simply gone. Down that straight stretch of dirt road, bordered by thick hedges, there was nowhere for a horse to vanish. The shaken musicians continued on, pondering whether they had seen an apparition. In the months that followed, some members of UK Decay became convinced that they had incurred a curse at Clophill. Their once rising fortunes faltered. Misfortune seemed to cling to them, and it took years, they said, to shake off the stain of that day. Perhaps the most poignant ghost story tied to Clophill is that of Sophie's ghost. Unlike the dark entities, this legend centres on a figure of light, a woman in a white gown who haunts the ruins, believed by some to be the restless spirit of one of the church's own. The story begins in the early 1970s, when veteran paranormal researcher Tony Brohall and his wife Georgina visited St. Mary's to snap photographs and investigate its infamous atmosphere. The Brohall spent a November day in 1972 exploring and taking numerous photos of the church's interior and exterior. They noticed nothing unusual at the time, beyond an oppressive feeling of gloom. But later, while reviewing the black and white photographs, Tony spotted something chilling. In one shot of Georgina smiling in front of the church south-facing window, there appeared to be a figure in white standing inside the ruin behind her. The shape was indistinct but unmistakable, a human-like form, milky white against the dark interior. No one else had been there that day, and analysis suggested that for the figure to be visible at that angle through the high window, it would have to be floating about 6 feet off the ground inside the church. The apparition's outline looked like someone in a long white dress, or perhaps a cleric's surplice. Startled and intrigued, Tony Brohall shared this photo in a 1977 paranormal journal, positing it as genuine evidence of a ghost at Clophill. Around the same time, a local school teacher had been conducting an unofficial archaeological dig at the old church, and some of his students collected village oral histories. One elderly villager told them that the ghost of a woman called Sophie haunted St. Mary's ruins. Then, during the dig, the students made a discovery. In the chancel's dirt, they unearthed a coffin nameplate, inscribed with the name Sophia. It belonged to Sophia Ann Mendham, a woman who died in 1893. Sophia Mendham was the wife of a 19th century rector of Clophill. She had helped build the new St. Mary's in the village and was buried at the old church beside her husband. Soon, sightings of a shining white lady in and around the ruins began to surface. Visitors described a pale female figure drifting silently near the tower, or a glow in the corner of the nave that vanished if approached. One group of friends in the 2000s recounted seeing the appearance of a woman in the top window of a church tower, watching them until they walked closer, at which point she simply disappeared.
This holiday season, Instacart is bringing magic to the people who make it magic for others. Get delivery and deals on everything you need this season. Whether it's a last-minute holiday decor emergency, coverage for the holiday party, or just avoiding going out in the cold, Instacart is here. Plus, November 24th to December 23rd is Deal Month, with savings from your favorite retailers and deals on grocery, electronics, beauty, toys, and more. Download the Instacart app to get a little magic delivered today.
I am a coach and an alum of Girls on the Run. Kids today carry a lot of stress, from school pressure to social isolation to overuse of devices. We create a space where girls can connect, build confidence, and learn skills like managing emotions, setting goals, and speaking up. Each child's experience is different, and families need support. I'm proud to be part of a comprehensive solution to youth mental health. Get involved today at EmpowerOurFutureCoalition.com.
That poor rector and that punk rock band. I did also think maybe it was just a convenient excuse for why they kind of went out of favour. But what was going on? What is still going on? It's a great place, isn't it? We've got so many of these run-down sort of old churches around, and I'm sure they're all cursed. They've got to be. Well, that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you again tomorrow. Take care, everyone.
Take control of the numbers and supercharge your small business with Xero. That's Xero. With our easy-to-use accounting software with automation and reporting features, you'll spend less time on manual tasks and more time understanding how your business is doing. 87% of surveyed U.S. customers agree Xero helps improve financial visibility. Search Xero with an X or visit Xero.com/ACAST to start your 30-day free trial. Conditions apply.
Did you know Tide has been upgraded to provide an even better clean in cold water? Tide is specifically designed to fight any stain you throw at it, even in cold. Butter? Yep. Chocolate ice cream? Sure thing. Barbecue sauce? Tide's got you covered. You don't need to use warm water. Additionally, Tide Pods let you confidently fight tough stains with new ColdZyme technology. Just remember, if it's gotta be clean, it's gotta be Tide.
You know you've reached peak couple energy when your undies match. MeUndies Match Me has you both covered, literally, in super soft ultra-modal undies, socks, PJs, and loungewear. Festive prints? Check. Cozy vibes? Double check. And right now, it's deal season. Get up to 50% off site-wide for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Take your couple game to the next level with MeUndies Match Me. To get deals up to 50% off, go to MeUndies.com/ACAST. Enter promo code ACAST. That's MeUndies.com/ACAST. Code ACAST.
The stories told on the Whispering Woods are inspired by historical records, witness reports, and local folklore. While every effort is made to research and represent events accurately, some details, names, and locations may differ from official accounts or have been changed out of respect for those involved. These episodes are created for storytelling and entertainment purposes and should not be considered definitive fact or investigative journalism.